Hey guys, check this out.
Hello and welcome to Check This Out, a podcast where we take an analytical view of the media that appeals to us as individuals and why. I am Elle, your host, and with me today is special guest and enemy of the show, Lilth. If you would, please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Lilth. I am a sometime actual play podcaster slash nerd slash person-ish.
I mean, that's about the most any of us can hope for these days.
This is true.
Now, you're bringing something to the table that you enjoy and are passionate about it. Could
Yes.
you talk a little bit about it in your own words?
Yes, I am here to talk about the thing I have tattooed on me that I have loved since I was a wee young person many moons ago, which is the Discworld by Sir Terry Pratchett. May he rest in peace. Which is basically the story of a disc carried on the back of 4 elephants on the back of Great Atuin, the world total, who unfortunately we don't know whether they are male or female, so they are non-binary.
Oh no, the horror.
I know, right? It started off many, many moons ago as satire of the fantasy genre and evolved into satire of absolutely everything in the modern world, including trains. It probably would have gone to the underground even if Sir Terry had lasted long enough. It covers growing up, growing old, passing away. The best character in the world, or on the disc, has got to be Death, who quite often has a near other character experience instead of the character having a near-death experience, which is always fun.
Cool. So I have my prepared list of questions that's designed to delve a little bit deeper into that enjoyment of yours, if that's all right.
Absolutely. What would you say if I said no?
Thank everyone for listening and shut it down right there.
Luckily, I'm not going to do that then.
Strangely enough, no one ever does.
Yeah, funny that.
Wonder what that's about. Anyway. Question 1. Imagine I was someone who's recently been awoken from a coma or resurrected from being frozen in ice, or even an inanimate object gifted knowledge of modern times and sentience. Essentially, I know what media is, but I've never experienced any. How would you explain Discworld without comparing it to something that I wouldn't know?
Discworld is a microcosm of the world, basically. In fact, in one area of the books, they create Realmworld, which is Earth. So basically, yeah, it is a slightly warped mirror to the world.
Fair enough. I mean, that's pretty concise.
Thank you.
Question 2. Hypothetically, our positions are reversed, and I'm guesting on your immensely popular and award-winning podcast. I've just answered the previous question with your response verbatim, so what stood out to you the most?
The view of the world through a different lens. It's always good to be able to poke fun at things, and very serious things, which Sir Terry always had a knack of doing. I think.
Yeah, because it takes like an amount of knowledge to even begin to think about things like that.
It does.
But then also the balance of compassion for those topics rather than
Yeah.
just being a tear down.
Yeah, absolutely. So Terry covered gender norms and gender barriers and that sort of thing long before it was as well known as
Popular.
it is now. Yes. Back in the days of, in fact, just towards the end of the infamous Section 28 law in the UK.
So I'm not familiar with that, so you might have to explain that a little bit for me and the rest of the listeners.
Yeah, Section 28 was a law that was passed by the infamous Margaret Thatcher, which basically banned the teaching of any ideology that wasn't the typical nuclear family of mum, dad, and 2.4 kids, or whatever that percentage is now. So basically, you weren't allowed to be taught any form of LGBTQIA plus information at all at school. Which is why at 42 I now discover I am non-binary and God knows what else, which is fun.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, life was a lie. But there you go, it happens.
Luckily, that's all in the past, and there's nothing but good times ahead.
No comment.
Certainly nothing happening in current news.
No, not at all. I would love to see what Sir Terry did with what's happening in the world today. The spin he would put on the whole anti-vax movement and the whole anti-maskers and all of this rubbish.
Yeah.
It would be delightful. Can just imagine Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Og, particularly Granny Weatherwax, applying headology to the anti-vaxxers and kicking their butts. It would have been so good.
And for the record, check this out, is a pro-vax, pro-mask podcast. Deal with it.
Yep.
Question 3. We can tell that this is a subject that you care about, but what got you to give it a chance in the first place?
That would be my dad. My dad got me into the Discworld. He bought me my first Discworld book back when I was probably in my late tweens. No, I must have been about 11, 12 or younger. And he presented me with this book with a garish cover called Mort, which is the story of Death's apprentice. And the way he tries to deal with teenage crushes and changing the whole of the space-time continuum.
Yeah, just regular adolescent issues.
Absolutely, yes. When he's left alone to do what is known as the rounds with Binky, the absolutely gorgeous white horse, who Death decided on after trying the skeletal version, which just kept falling apart and was a bit uncomfortable, and the fiery steed who just kept setting fire to his bedding, which is not good when you're a horse.
Probably expensive too.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, Dad was as much of a book nerd as me, and he got me into a lot of different authors and different styles, all the way from books like Titus Grown when I was 13, all the way through Discworld, sci-fi, proper serious fantasy as well. But Pratchett is the one that I always came back to.
And those covers are some of the best things about them too.
Oh God, absolutely yes. The art of Paul Kidby for the newer ones, and I can't remember his name. That's going to bug me now.
You're free to look it up.
I cannot remember the name of the author who did the first covers. Let's have a look.
Because I've seen some of the recent editions. It has an all black cover with one little picture on the front. It's like, where is the charm?
No, it was originally Josh Kirby, and then Paul Kidby took over. Yeah, so Josh Kirby and Paul Kidby, which is where it gets very confusing. But Josh did the iconic cover art that wraps around the whole book, and Paul Kidby kind of expanded on that.
Yeah, just the multicoloured chaos.
Yes. Every time you look at the cover, you always spot something new that you didn't realise was there.
It's like Where's Wally, except interesting.
Absolutely, yes.
And we can say that because that's the actual name, not Waldo, you American people.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes, it is.
I was going to say something much worse than people, but...
Yeah, don't do that.
Although, to be fair, that does make Oddlaw a little bit weird then.
Yeah. But he was just odd, so it works.
Yeah. Question 4. It might sound a little bit ridiculous, this one.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, a sense of community and like-mindedness are integral to their enjoyment of something. To your knowledge, is there a community around Discworld that you're aware of? If so, what are they like?
Oh my god, yes. Yes, there is. They are the nicest people going. They were embraced by Terry as well, so you have conventions, just pure Discworld conventions across the world. You have Australians doing very good productions of some of the short stories from Discworld. You've got people who just like to sit and read them, and if you spot someone reading a Pratchett book, you know they have good taste. And they will be lovely human beings 99% of the time. You can't read Terry and not be a nice person.
Now, how does that factor in with the Neil Gaiman crossovers?
Also good. So Good Omens is pretty much the only one. And they worked really well together. You cannot see the blend between them. You can't see, and in fact, Neil Gaiman now says, and Terry used to say, that they would each pull out something and say, "That's really good. Terry wrote that," and then Terry would turn around to Neil and say, "No, you wrote that. I didn't write that." So they can't even pick it out. But the friendship of Neil and Terry has translated into the fans of them both as well, especially if they have read Good Omens, which if you haven't, you should. It may not be a Discworld book, but it is excellent.
I guess that answers a later question then, but it's also like you don't have that fear of, like, not that it would happen, but like the Gaiman fans coming in and being the edgy outcasts that really want to put other people down versus the the soft, ever-loving Pratchett fans.
No, not at all. 90% of the people who love Terry also love Neil. Just their styles and their personalities are so similar. But you just have the people who prefer graphic novels and the people who prefer written novels merging into one, because they both have a similar style of writing and they both have similar ways of holding a mirror up to the world and what's going on in it, I think.
Which then gets a little bit confusing when you have the Discworld graphic novels.
Yes. Which are
I
also
have a
very
couple
good.
of.
Yeah, I have The Last Heroes, I think, the only one I've got, but I am looking at getting the others at some point to add to my collection of at least 2 copies of 90% of the books. Some of them I have 3 copies, some of them I have more than that. Because you can never have too many Pratchett books.
I regret to say that I do not have the complete set of the works yet, but that's mostly because of my issues with the covers.
That is fair.
I have all of them in the older style, and then some of the newer ones come out, and they're only in that minimalist, depressing style.
Yeah, there is that. Although I think you can get them in the newer style, or you could at one point in the older style. Sorry, but it would be more the Poor Kidby style, which are ones that you see in things like the cover of the books about Brain Gone. That's good. Things like he crosses in for the Tiffany Aching books. Those sort of covers are the ones that are more the Paul Kidby style as opposed to the other style. But then they minimised it and stuff.
Yeah, like I had a similar issue with the Wheel of Time series until not relatively recently.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Wheel of Time doesn't exist.
Yeah, someone made it up. It's a sick joke. But no, it's like they had all the same style of covers, and then they started changing it for a few different editions.
Yeah.
I really want to read it, but I can't. It puts me off.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. But Terry Pratchett also wrote a whole load of games. And his daughter took after him and wrote lots of games. There are, I think, at least 2 or 3 computer games, of which I have only played one, which was Discworld Noir, and I didn't get far in that because I didn't own it, a friend did, and then I went away to uni, so couldn't play it anymore.
I remember playing the demo version of Discworld 2.
Yeah.
It's just like, this looks weird.
Yeah, it did look weird, but it was good fun. And there is also an RPG that I am desperately trying to get my hands on. It's
RPG in what sense? Still video game or
No.
tabletop?
Tabletop RPG. It's a GURPS system, which I don't know much about, but it looks so much fun. It's got all the different races, the humans, dwarves, vampires, werewolves, the witches, the wizards, beings from the dungeon dimensions. I think it's even got the Wormberg in it. I've got a friend who has a copy of the book, and I'm desperately trying to persuade them to sell it to me because I need to own it.
All the classic D&D races.
Yeah, because it started off as a mictake of, the Tolkien-esque up itself fantasy.
Hmm.
It also, how can I forget, has the undead as well, and zombies, and golems, and the longest-serving head of the Lawyers Guild, who is a zombie.
As you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just reminded that in the early editions, like the first editions of D&D, elf was a class.
Was it? That is something I did not know.
Elf and dwarf, I think, were just extra classes. So you could be a fighter or warrior, I think it was at the time, a
Uh-huh.
wizard, a cleric, a rogue, an elf, or a dwarf.
Fair. Okay.
It's just like that. That is an interesting choice, but I can appreciate the history of where it's come from.
Yes. I can see why.
Evolving from war games and all, yeah.
Yeah.
Question 5. There are many aspects of media that resonate differently with different people. What is your favourite part?
Of Discworld? All of
I mean,
it?
you picked it, I didn't.
I know. It's got to be the characters. If you read the books in order, which I do not of writing, which I do not suggest, you can see not only Terry's style of writing and his character style and everything evolving. He gives his characters an arc. Even a character that is, in theory, as unchanging as death has a character arc. You can pick up any of the Discworld books at any point, whether they be a standalone novel or one of the ones that forms part of a sort of enclosed arc type of thing. Like the, dare I say, watch books that are absolutely brilliant, but I am not going to mention the travesty that is the TV series based, not even loosely based on them. They have stolen names and that's it. And yeah, no. But all the characters within those individual books are standalone. You don't need to know the history to be able to read about them.
Yeah, it's such a shame that when they released the TV series that shall not be mentioned, they came around to everyone's house to steal the copies and burn them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Still, you learn to live with what you got.
Yeah, and you just avoid it like the plague.
Oh, yeah. Now, you did mention something interesting in there that you wouldn't recommend reading them in publication order.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a preferred method that is a standard, or is it just a listen to your heart type of thing?
It's more of a listen to your heart. The first two books, which are The Colour of Magic and The Light Fantastic, are completely different to the rest of the books because they are the first two that he wrote that were purely a piss take of what at that point was, well, what still is high fantasy. And that evolved and changed over time to be a mirror to our own world. I started personally with Mort, which is a standalone book, introduces you to a few of the main characters like Death, has some follow-on books that don't include Mort but include his daughter. or go for the city books, or the watch books, and ignore the TV series completely. The other good ones to start with is something like Pyramids, which is a completely standalone. It does start in Ankh-Morpork, which is the main city of the disc, but it's actually based in the Discworld's version of ancient Egypt, which is fun.
Does explain the title then.
Yes. Soul Music is also a good one. It's kind of semi-standalone, but it does feature Death's daughter in it. It's the Death's granddaughter. It is the first outing of her, if I remember rightly, and she is brilliant. Or go for the classic Witch series with Granny Weatherwax, who is my favourite character after Death. And the Death of Rats. They're all just so good.
I remember in a discussion getting a little bit of flack for saying that Soul Music was my favourite, because it's apparently a very weird choice.
You wouldn't have got it from me because I love soul music.
This was
is
years before.
fair. It is a strange one compared to the others, but the number of pop references in there and the main character being Buddy and his Chlamydos name being a translation of Buddy Holly, it's just great. And the fact that he looks a bit elfish.
Yeah. But I think that's from my dad loves a lot of like music from quote his era.
Yeah.
So he instilled a lot of that in me. So I guess that's partly what carries it over.
Quite probably, yeah, because it does reference the Rolling Stones. It references how stupid on the outside band t-shirts are. It is really good. The other really good one that I love that I quite often get flack for is Moving Pictures.
That was going to be my other one as a second pick.
Yeah. Because again, that's semi-standalone. You've got Gaspod in it, who is a semi-recurring character, and it's basically the story of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Which
it must be something about the idea of ideas who come too soon, or however it's explained.
Yeah.
That sort of sub-series that appeals to me.
Yeah. Have you read the one about the railways, whose name I cannot remember at the moment?
I don't believe so.
Something Steam.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. That might be because, like, as I mentioned with the issue with the covers, it's just like that's the only version I've seen of it, and I'm put off by it. But I do need to finish them eventually.
No, that name.
I mean, on a morbid note, it's not like they're going to be any more. I've got time to catch up.
Yes, and I have read the last book. Which is... It's obvious that it did not have the final Terry Pratchett polish added to it. It's still a very good story, but you can see that it's the bare bones. He hadn't gone back in to polish it when he passed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but there's not much we can do about that.
Yet.
No, there's not much we can do about that. They destroyed all his hard drives and notes.
Yeah, fair.
On his orders, so there will be no more Discworld books, unfortunately.
I was thinking more something in the realm of mad science and reanimation, but yeah, fair.
Oh, there is that. Yeah, of course. I forgot about that one. The book was thinking of is Raising Steam. It was his penultimate book.
Raising stick. There we go.
Yeah.
I was thinking, generating? No, that's just something that happens.
Yeah. Raising Steam.
Question 6. Following on from the previous question, if we can remember it, what do you think will appeal most to the general public?
If they're anything like me, it will be seeing the world through a different light. It helps you put things in perspective. It helps you to stop and think about what's going on in the world and how it's being spun. Like right now, The Truth would be a really good book to read because that one is about papers and news articles and the beginnings of journalism in Discworld. But you can tell that Terry used to work as a journalist. He picks up a whole load of stuff on how it all works.
Yeah, it's like a little bit too inside to be just someone who gets close.
Yes, absolutely. It's like the line in Good Omens, which in the TV series is voiced by the person who played Terry in a kind of semi-documentary, where the reactor core of a nuclear power station goes missing. And the thing to remember is Sir Terry used to work as the press officer for British Nuclear Energy. So he gets all of the sarcasm and the derision that he probably wanted to do while doing that job in one little line in that book, and it's just perfect.
And I guess that line would be...
I knew you were going to ask that. He gets asked a question about where the power is coming from, because the power is still coming from this generator, and the character in the story just turns around and goes, "We don't know. We were hoping you brainy buggers at the BBC would know," or something along those lines. I am now going to have to find the quote so I can get it exact.
Hey, it's only fair you're giving me homework.
Yeah. He also talks about it not bubbling enough. Okay, so the one in the book is slightly different to the one that's in this TV series. In the book, it's asked by the journalist, "Surely you have considered terrorist activity?" There's another pause. Then the spokesman said, in the quiet tones of someone who has had enough and who is going to quit after this and raise chickens somewhere, "Yes, I suppose we must. All we need to do is find some terrorists who are capable of taking an entire nuclear reactor out of its can while it's running and without anyone noticing. It weighs about 1,000 tons and is 40 feet high, so they'll be quite strong terrorists. Perhaps you'd like to ring them up, sir, and ask them questions in that supercilious accusatory way of yours."
Which is very Pratchett from what I know.
It is very, very Pratchett. I'm going to see if I can find the one from the book, from the TV series. I'm just thinking, I have the script book somewhere, but not near me. So, no, It's gone. It's out there in the ether. If you want to know what it is, watch the series.
Yeah, fair. Question 7. Say that I do end up enjoying this because of your excellent recommendation. What would be your number one follow-up? Doesn't necessarily have to be a sequel or anything, but where would I turn if I wanted more of the same?
Neil Gaiman is a good one. Another one who might not be as easy to find in your neck of the woods is Robert Rankin. He has written such books as Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll, Armageddon the Musical, Armageddon 2, the B-movie, Armageddon 3, Name Gone. He has also written Waiting for Godalming, the Communicon or something like that. And he writes what is he calls far-fetched fiction. He also has Elvis and a time-travelling sprout called Barry.
Like, in real life, or...?
In the books.
Okay, because that was going to be a very serious question to come out later.
Yeah, no, that is in the Armageddon series. And they are all based in a borough of London whose name currently escapes me again. Brentford. Set in Brentford. He has a whole series of books set in Brentford. The other thing to look at would be Douglas Adams and The Hitchhikers. If you want something along the same lines.
It's something that's just like ubiquitously, oh, everyone's read this or seen this or whatever, and I'm just like, I haven't.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I unknowingly reference a lot, and it's only when I get pulled up by people who don't know what I'm talking about that I realise how much I do it. My son has a snake named Slarty Bartfast after a character in Hitchhiker's Guide. It's great. And the meaning of life, the universe, and everything is 42. It's very important to know that.
Apparently. I hear that a lot.
Yes, and Earth was created in order to allow the mice to calculate the question to the ultimate answer of life, the universe, and everything, which is 42. But unfortunately, it was demolished just before they got the answer out.
Fair enough. Question 8. Sometimes our engagement with a piece of media comes from a position of relativity. Did you have a character that you related to? And if so, what drew you to them?
I had a few characters that I was drawn to as I was growing up and got older. Now, I tend to resonate with Cheery the dwarf, or Cherry the dwarf, who broke out of gender norms because all dwarves are male, and there's a very delicate dance to find out whether the dwarf you fancy is of the right sex to procreate with. And she was the first dwarf to be out and proud female. And just that whole feeling of exploring your gender and trying to work out who you are and to ignore what society is telling you just resonates with me right now. I have always loved Granny Weatherwax as well, who is a loner, who actually needs people, and is very gruff and a loner. I've already said that, but it bears repeating.
Yes, I mean sometimes that's the focal point of a character, is just like some of their flaws as far as people view it.
Yeah. Granny Weatherwax is all what people would see as flaws. However, they get the job done. And in her own way, she cares deeply about everyone, but she believes that everyone should find their own way, and there's no point mollycoddling them and, pandering to them to get them to do what they need to do. And I, in the past and still do, need that kick to get me to do stuff.
I mean, important lessons for everyone, really.
Absolutely.
Question 9. A lot of these types of interviews rely on the question of what would you bring with you to a desert island in order to get to know a person. But that's not this show. What we ask instead is to picture the following scenario. You're on a deserted island with no hope of rescue, but food, water, shelter, and everything like that has been taken care of so that you won't succumb before your natural time. You've also been provided with a single piece of media and the means to engage with it, and for you it is the Discworld series. How frequently would you utilise it, and how long would it take for you to be sick of it?
Okay. This question is interesting because I am the age that is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. I have reread the Discworld books numerous times over the 3 decades that I have been aware of them, and I'm still not bored, and I still go back to them. The Hogfather I read every Christmas without fail. The others I will periodically just start at the beginning and work my way through. So I will never get sick of it. And I've managed to last 3 decades of reading it without getting bored, so don't think I'm going to get bored anytime soon.
Yeah, so it is an interesting question, at least for me as well, because I find my tolerance for re-experiencing a thing is very low. I can't really enjoy a thing if I know too much about how it goes. So it's like I will gladly reread the Discworld series at some point. I think I'm finally getting to that point where I might be able to read them through for a third time. And it's been, 20 years?
Fair. I have, I suppose, the advantage of, because of the way my brain is wired, I forget stuff a lot. And I also have a habit of not always taking in what I'm reading. So I am able to reread things a lot, and if I enjoy them, I can do it even more. There are books that I can't reread because there's nothing extra to them, if you know what I mean. You can read...
You've squeezed all the narrative juice out.
Yeah. Whereas with the Discworld, I've found that every time I read it, it resonates with me differently because I'm in a different stage of my life. So, Granny Weatherwax, I have grown up reading about her. When I was younger, she was the authority figure that was the one that was always gruff and told you stuff, but you always listened to. Now she's more a mentor and someone you look up to in a different way. and just seeing how the way I see the characters change as I have gotten older and got more experience under my belt, especially characters like Cherry. I resonate with her so much more now than I ever did when I first picked up the books. I now understand why she was doing what she was doing and how she was doing it. And the fact that Terry was able to write characters like that were completely different to the way he was, but actually capture all those little nuances and thought processes into a character was miraculous. We have lost an excellent storyteller and an excellent person, an excellent viewer of people.
That is all the questions that I had, so thank you for indulging me.
You are more than welcome. I didn't pester you for ages.
Sorry, what was that?
I didn't pester you for ages to get on at all.
Hopefully that's given people a little bit of a deeper insight into your perspective.
Hopefully.
And before I ruin the show by talking for myself, it's time for everyone's actual favourite part, a word from the sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. That really was an excellent ad read.
Absolutely.
Buy several of their products unless it's the army or casino.
Absolutely. Play safe.
Now, I have a follow-up review from last episode's enemy of the show and self-proclaimed hat captain, Chris, and his recommendation of Crackerjack. Is this something that you're familiar with?
Crackerjack. I am and I'm not. Crackerjack is something that my mum used to go on and on about. So it's something I'm definitely aware of. And I probably watched it as a young child.
Yeah.
But it's not something I recall all that much.
Fair. So Crackerjack is an immensely Australian sports comedy drama, I would say.
Okay. In that case, Crackerjack over here is something completely different.
Makes sense. It's not a common word, but you're bound to get some overlap eventually.
Absolutely, yeah. We all speak the same language and completely misunderstand each other.
So it is the story of a bit of a prick, but in the lovable Australian way of being a prick, as you can be, who is a member of the local lawn bowls club, specifically because their parking lot is close enough for his work.
Okay.
It's the only reason he's a member. And he also has a couple of other memberships under his belt, so he can rent out other parking spaces to his mates.
Cool.
Then big business decides to move in and try to take over the small battling club, as it were, to try and put in excess pokey machines. So that's what you do with a club, apparently.
Okay.
And then the bowls club decides to try and bring in a ringer for the competition to maintain the rights. And because they're all in their 60s and over, what better than to troll the members for the young blood?
Yeah, I can see that.
Turns out he's a little bit of a prodigy with it, but just does not care. But eventually, it's the typical, the 80s teen sports comedy thing where it's like, oh, we've got to save the rec centre.
Oh, yeah.
And we can only do that by winning this conveniently placed dance competition that will give us just enough money to win.
Yep, I know that one well.
Yeah. But instead of like, oh, it's $6 million, it's very low stakes. Because it's like, oh yeah, you just need $50, but coincidentally, it, the comedy is passable, I would say. It's not like wall-to-wall bangers, but it's not like hearing paint dry for 90 minutes or however long it was. So there's some that land better. There's some that just like, yeah, I get it. Come on. But if you like a comfy movie, I would say give it a try. I will give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars.
Definitely worth a crack then.
Yeah, hence the name.
Absolutely, yes. You see over here, Crackerjack is was a long-running Saturday morning TV show from, I think, 1964 to about 1980 something. So, completely different. Created Slime before Nickelodeon did in the States. They always like to steal that from us, but no, we created it back in the 1950s.
Oh,
So,
there's
yeah.
part of me that wants to make a very bad joke here, but I'm going to refrain, I think. No, screw it. It was invented for the Blitz and the anti-German movements. They just couldn't figure out how to weaponize it properly.
It's slightly later than that, but yeah. Rationing
Yeah,
was
that's what
still
I
in
meant.
place.
Yeah, they couldn't figure it out in time, and then the war ended, and they're like, "Well, we've got it. We've got it now. What else can we do with it?"
That is fair. Yeah, that passes.
Now, before we wrap up this, the final ever episode of Check This Out for this recording session, and the 14th time I've made that joke, can you tell the audience where they might find you online, and if you have anything to spruik?
You can find me on a couple of actual play podcasts that may or may not also include your lovely host. On Final Show Films. You can find me online occasionally. And if you happen to like Sans Pants and are ever in the Sans Pants Discord, I am all over that shit.
Because, honestly, how good?
How good?
And on that note, I've been Al.
I've been Lilth.
And this has been Check This Out, a podcast of media positivity. And remember, don't kiss a gift horse in the mouth.